What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to be discussing the Infinity Tablet, the board game tablet that's a tablet but also plays board games that's like the size of a table. Let's go on to discuss that. As always, a quick shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their support that this channel is possible. I don't take money from any of these companies, so I can give you the God's honest truth and my opinion as I see it. So thank you for all of that independence and support from them. If you can't support that way, there are links below to a merch store, Amazon store, all those things. But just a like and a subscribe and a comment can help immensely. So thank you so much. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so this is the Infinity Game Table. It's by Arcade1Up. If you didn't know who they are the ones that brought, I don't even think they have a picture here per se, but I know they have it in the stupid video thing that they have here. They brought all these arcade machines, which are super cool and retro and have a lot of appeal for that reason, obviously. And they decided to make a giant tablet. Now, this is not the first time this has been done. There have been giant tablets for years now, table-sized tablets. Seriously, it's been happening for a long time. I remember years and years ago looking at some of these things that were, like 2 feet long, or whatever, and all these different things that where you could all get on you could go down to the table and play with your kids and do stuff like that. None of them ever took off. And for the most part, that's because it's just an expensive machine that, can get damaged and is, out there in the open and really only does one thing. You certainly wouldn't want to eat your food off of this thing per se. What's interesting though is, those failed. They failed, but they were actually just like Android tablets mostly. And so they were full-fledged tablets. Now, this thing, and if you didn't realize from the title, I'm not going to be talking good about the Infinity Game Table by Arcade1Up. So I'm going to be talking about kind of why. They did anything your tablet could, right? Plus some extra stuff that the company would make apps for and stuff like that. Here, it's probably an Android underneath, Android tablet, but it doesn't do the Android tablet stuff. So instead it just does board game stuff. So it's even less value necessarily than what already had been tried and has failed. Now, is this any cheaper? Well, it starts at $500. So for $500, you can get this table that just does board game stuff and like coloring stuff. And I'm not going to spend $500 on a giant tablet that my daughter can fake color on. She can do that on her iPad that does a ton of other things and is it encased in this nice kid-friendly case thing with this huge screen protector thing on it. That thing can be chucked against the wall and it'd be fine. In fact, I think it has been chucked against the wall and the wall got damaged, not the tablet. So, suffice it to say, I don't plan on spending $500 on a table that does this. Now, there are some other issues, of course. So we all have these, right? We have phones. How long does your phone last and it's still running great? If it's anything like mine, by the time 2 years is up, one of the reasons this 2-year cycle is so good is because you kind of start needing it. It starts getting slower. It starts getting bogged down. It doesn't run as fast as it used to. The battery doesn't recharge as well or hold the charge as good. The screen may be a little bit dimmer. There might be some burn in, because all screens burn in, by the way. It happens. Some much sooner than others, but, and so how long is this tablet going to last? How long is this electronic table going to last? Is it going to be running great 5 years from now? And 5 years from now, when you play Monopoly for the 1 millionth time, first of all, is that going to be burned in on the image on the screen, after 5 years of playing your favorite board game? That seems kind of odd. But, let's go ahead and keep discussing maybe some of the negatives, because they're not going to tell you any negatives. They're going to tell you the positives. And the positives are, of course, you can gather around and you can have all of your games that you want to play theoretically, maybe possibly, on this table, and you can just load it up or whatever and search for it and even play remote. I just got Vorpal board, by the way. If you know what Vorpal board is, it's essentially a thing to put your phone above your table, and then it has this little system where it can scan in cards and dice and stuff like that. Actually, I'll pull it up for you in a moment here. But that can pretty much digitize my entire game catalog. All of these games I could play online at this point with Vorpal board. It cost me $75. Not 500. And because it's just scanned images and stuff like that, and eventually even scanned in dice and whatnot, and then me just streaming an actual, table thing there, it keeps going, right? It doesn't get worse 5 years from now because there's no hardware attached to it. Hardware diminishes, hardware gets worse. So anyway, let's keep talking about this. So this has made about $800,000. When I first checked, this was about $500,000. So people are still backing it. Right now, about 1,129 people are backing it. So they're talking about keeping, the development going and releasing games and supporting and all that kind of stuff. 5 years from now, you have this table, you spend $500 on it. At that point, you've spent $100 a year to have this tablet. How many software developers do you think they could put towards full-time software developers towards furthering the operating system and the games and fixing bugs and releasing new content and upgrading features and releasing security patches and all this kind of stuff for 1,129 people? I would love to hear a number because my number's pretty darn low. I don't see how a company would want to support 1,000 people for 5 years. Now, theoretically, they're going to sell more, but I would say at a $500 price point, with the main draw that they're pitching being Monopoly and Scrabble, those are the first two games that they mention as your favorite games. I don't see a lot of Monopoly and Scrabble players wanting to drop $500 so they can play a digital version of that. So I'm going to assume that the majority of the people that own this product are getting it on this Kickstarter. In other words, the very passionate people, the people that want to be bleeding edge, the people that want to do all this stuff. They're the kind of people that might spend $500,000 on a table with a screen that only does board games. By the way, people have done this before. Here's Indarth Covenant. I talked kind of bad about that. Now, they had a video that showed it off. They've since removed that video. Don't ask me why, so I can't even show you all the features, but this is another thick tablet you can put on a table, and it's kind of like half and half not. It has like a place where you can scan in the cards and stuff like that. And I said much of the same things here. How quick is that scan of the card going to be day one? And how quick of that scan of the card is it going to be year 5, year 6, year 7? Right? Because these games I can pass on. I mean, Hero Quest just came out. I just got shipped the original 1989 Hero Quest. Do you think that 30 years later, this tablet's going to be doing anything? No, it's not. It's going to be a broken screen somewhere. There's also the part of storage. These are hard to store. But you know what? I can stack them. I can put them in a shelf one right after another. This giant tablet, where am I going to put that? Am I going to have to put it next to a treadmill in a closet somewhere, and hope I don't throw my shoes in there and crack the screen? If I have this one for Indarth Covenant, and then I also have my table one that I don't want to leave my table out because I have 4 kids and they'd ruin it, just like they ruin everything. Am I going to put them next to each other? Scratch the screen? No, I don't think so. So the support, questionable. How good it's going to run, questionable. Even day one, nonetheless, 5 years from now. But it just gets better and better. So don't worry, you can keep buying more board games. Well, you can keep buying the license to digitally play the board games on that tablet through their proprietary app store, so that not only are you limited by only the ones that they officially allow, but you are at the whim of their prices. So if you enjoy paying $20 for Monopoly now, well, don't worry, 5 years from now, it'll probably still be $20. Because again, with no competition, there are no sales. And so why would they want to sell you something for cheap or anything like that? There are board games on like Steam, right? Like Asmodee Digital's on there, and there's some Command games on there and whatnot. Those can go on sale. Steam has all the rights to selling it. Theoretically, I suppose Arcade 1UP could do crazy summer sales or winter sales or something like that, but I highly doubt it. I have a feeling it's just going to be an app store. You go and you buy the digital version of the game that you want to play, and then you can only play it on that and only through them. So again, if Arcade 1UP goes under, there goes your tablet. It's useless now. You can't buy new stuff. It won't get updated, all that kind of stuff. This, again, any of these companies could go under right now and I still have their board game. Any of them. So there are better ways to play with friends. There are better ways to spend $500. There are a multitude of concerns when it comes to long-term support and long-term functionality, because as all electronics age, they get worse. And of course, they get perceived even worse because the newer stuff is better. And again, it's $500. One thing that's funny, right? Because they mentioned like, hey, you want to play your favorite games like Monopoly and Scrabble? And they focus on a lot of the like silly things you can do for $500 on a big, because I want to browse a Comixology and a digital comic book on a giant table instead of my phone or a tablet or anything like that. Like, I don't even know what the purpose is that. I don't know what problem they're trying to solve here that isn't already solved. But one of my favorite things is this. It's like, oh, you're running out of space on your board games. I suspect that anybody who has this shelf isn't spending $500 on a dedicated device that's sole purpose is to play these board games. I just don't see it. Maybe there's a few people out there. I don't know. But I don't see the people that have Hungry Hippos and Candyland spending $500 on a dedicated product that its only thing it does is this. And then, of course, there's the whole, like, okay, well, what about this one and all that? I was going to show you Vorpal board, so let's go ahead and look at that. Okay, so this is Vorpal board. As I said, I'd show you this. And again, it was only $75, not $500, and it's completely sustainable and can keep going and whatnot. Let's go ahead and take a look. First of all, the first thing they show is Gloomhaven, not Monopoly, not Scrabble, none of that kind of crap. But it's because it can scale up to even something like Gloomhaven. It can do anything you want it to do. It can do competitive games. The only thing it might struggle with, I guess, is dexterity games. But otherwise, you can do co-op games. You can do Dungeons and Dragons. You can do anything you want with it because the board and stuff, you're just streaming. So you get the little thing and you attach your phone to it. Again, the phone that you update every 2 years that constantly is up to date and just has a camera. That's all you need. In fact, one of the cool things it has is instead of just streaming video, you can choose it to just stream images like once every 5 seconds or something like that. So it's still very quick. You don't get motion, but it's still very up to date, but the images are super clear. It's a lot less on bandwidth, so it costs almost nothing. Unlike these other ones that are streaming in all this images stuff. You can zoom in on anything, as you can see. It's completely scalable. You can even scan in your dice and roll dice and have health counters and all sorts of stuff that you get to do. You can save your states. That's what it's showing here. I'm not trying to sell you a Vorpal board, though. Again, I did buy one. So, with my own money, it just is really, really cool and exciting that I can digitize all of this. Just like I used Plex to digitize my videos, I can digitize this and play with my patrons, maybe do even a prototype review, stuff like that with them. $75, always scalable. The only thing they're having to deal with is the software, which again is important. But you pay $5 a month to be able to use it. And so as long as people are using it, it should be good to go. This hardware specific stuff though is just inherently worse. Even these connections, right? Who says these connections are going to keep going? What is this? Is this even a USB type 3.0? I don't even know. I don't get it. I don't get the purpose of this. I think it's inherently worse in all regards. Nobody ever talks about the negatives of technology. I always think about the positives. Oh, you can get animation. You can get screens. And, Indoor Common is like, oh, look at that. The board is digital CG stuff. Woohoo. Instead of a beautiful art on some cardboard, it's now this. And of course it can move and do animations and all this stuff. But they don't talk about the negatives. They don't talk about the software updates, the security patches, the long-term development by expensive software developers, the hardware starting to fail, malfunctions, issues like that. If a mini breaks, I can have them ship me another mini. Are they going to ship me another, main board? Are they going to ship me another USB if I'm trying to cram the USB and it breaks off and I have to solder it back on? Is that what I'm doing? The support is worse. It's a dedicated device. It takes up more space. You can't stack them. I'm repeating myself now, so I guess I'm kind of done. I just don't get it. I don't get why you'd want some proprietary app store on a proprietary device that's sole purpose is to play board games for $500. I get wanting to innovate. I get wanting to use technology. It's not for me, but I get it. I understand why you'd want to do it. Right? I don't think this is a smart way to do it. I think something like Virpil Board is much smarter. It's scalable. All you're doing is the software instead of the software and the hardware, and it's not as expensive. And you see right there, this is the health counter that they have. I don't know if it was in the video or not, but you could add a little health counter and digitally do that. That's cool. That's fine. I used to do that with Magic the Gathering, so I didn't have a spin down die. I get it. Technology can be super cool. I'm not inherently against technology. I'm a software developer myself. But I don't want to just poke at a tablet as it lags because it's 5, 6, 7 years old and is slow and sluggish and takes up a lot of space. I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy a license to my board games. I want to own my board games. It's just me. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think something like this is cool? I will link down to this below. If you think this is awesome, you think I'm full of it, that's fine. Follow the link, back it. You do you. I'm just sharing my opinion. So, no harm, no foul there. And, Arcade1Up, no harm, no foul. I don't hate you. I just think that the Infinity game table is inherently a bad product. So, I guess there's that. Anyway, that's it for me. I will be talking about some more stuff very soon. I have a Townsfolk Tussle review coming hot off the heels of this video. And then I have at least one other news video before my main video on Friday. So there's going to be a lot of videos coming up. If you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. You can hear me ramble my opinion more often, I suppose. I do cover a lot of Kickstarter board game stuff. So if you're into that, into minis, 3D printing, all that kind of stuff is on this channel. So I hope you enjoyed it either way. If you did, again, like helps. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day.